Starting with you, who you got, Baker or Kyler this Sunday?
I'll think Baker right now. Kyler seems to have hit the rookie wall, and Baker Mayfield's going up against a coach that one time he had an issue with. So I think he'll be motivated. He'll be Chippy Baker. So you get Chippy Baker up against a quarterback that hit the rookie wall.
Is there another kind
and that's why you get the advantage of Baker Mayfield right now.
I went to high school with Chippy Baker. Next, D. Wood, Todd Gurley or Zeke? Who you got?
I'm going Todd Gurley. I mean, listen, that Rams defense has been one of the best defenses in the National Football League. And I know everyone talks about Todd Gurley and, you know, usage and all those type of things, but I think he'll have success against this Cowboys defense that clearly has been playing up to the level they were playing last year.
Why did they wait so long to get him involved? They waited till their season was reasonably over. Next up, Mina Kimes, Watson or Tannehill? Who you got?
It pains me, but I'm going Tannehill because of the matchup. The Titans have been using play action more than any other team in the league with great success. Last week, the Houston Texans got destroyed by Drew Lock on play action. He averaged 16.3 yards per attempt off of play action. They're going to get burned.
Yeah, what Denver did to Houston last week was one of the big surprises of the year.
Ugly.
One more. Neek, we got the Bears and the Packers. Who you got, Aaron Rodgers or the Bears D?
Oh, man, I think I got to go with the Bears D. I think the Packers will probably win because they have a lot of good support around Aaron Rodgers, but I think this Bears D is special. They're going to play well against Aaron Rodgers and keep him around his average performance, which is what he's kind of been all season, except for every now and then when he pops up, he'll have a crazy game. But generally, he's like an average quarterback.
You don't keep that same energy around Dak, though.
I mean, because Dak is not average. Dak is a cold-blooded man.
Well, let's point out that earlier this morning, Domonique Foxworth gave us his top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL right now, and Dak was on the list and Aaron Rodgers was not. There they are, Tannehill, Prescott, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, and at number 1, Lamar Jackson. Now, Mina, perhaps you can talk some sense into my friend, Mr. Foxworth. None of us are ever successful in doing that on this show. What do you think of his list?
I think we all see the issue with his list, which is, Domonique, you're a father.
I am.
You know,
3 kids.
When you have a kid and you love them so much, you have to be honest when they're not their best selves. Dak Prescott, I know you love him so much. He's like your son at this point. He's not been his best self for weeks now. 55% completion percentage in the last week. He just doesn't belong on the list of quarterbacks who are playing the best football right now, which is, I understand.
So who should replace him?
I'm going to put Kirk Cousins there. Ranks in the top 3 in just about every meaningful metric. He doesn't get any respect, quite frankly. People always talk about Dalvin Cook in that run game. He is, honestly, Domonique, playing out of his mind right now. Top 3 in adjusted net yards per attempt, top 2 in passer rating, completion percentage above expected completion percentage. All the statistics you love.
You got numbers.
Kirk Cousins is dominating him.
I got numbers too. Kirk Cousins is good when they're in the lead. The difference between Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott is a top 3 QBR in performance when they're tied or behind. Kirk Cousins can't do that. Kirk Cousins
I didn't think they get in the lead.
No, I'm explaining it.
Who puts them in the lead?
And he's doing it without Adam Thielen.
Hold on. It's certainly not Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has a quarter of his passes are 0 or less yards behind the line of scrimmage. They have yak of, 51% of his passing yards are yak. Dak Prescott is 36%. You got numbers, I got numbers too. Dak is doing this with 22 league-leading drops.
So that statistic, completion percentage above expected, completion percentage that I talked about, that accounts for all of this.
Okay.
And Kirk Cousins is executing above and beyond what's being drawn up.
I think Kirk Cousins is having a great year. But if you want to know who is better, if we're going into a playoff game, we get to pick one quarterback. We can go around the table and set a list right now.
We would take Dak Prescott over Kirk Cousins.
Boom.
Would you?
Done.
In a playoff game? Yeah, but that wasn't the question. I would. I really would.
I agree. It wasn't the question. How about you? Is Kirk Cousins right now playing better than Dak Prescott?
Yes.
Thank you.
Would you take him right now in a playoff game over Dak Prescott?
Yes.
The point was my top 5. My top 5.
Right now, I think it said.
Does anybody argue that Dak Prescott deserves to be out of the top 5, replaced by Kirk Cousins?
Quarterbacks who are playing right now.
What do you make of what's going on? Ever since the moment that the receivers in Minnesota were openly critical, it seems really of the coach, but it sort of got pointed in the direction of the quarterback. From that point on, and even with Adam Thielen being hurt for most of the second half of this season, Cousins has played great.
He's elevated his game to the point where he's in that discussion. And I could say that Jimmy Garoppolo's in the discussion, Drew Brees in the discussion. There's some other guys too. Dak, as well as he's played, they're not winning right now. So it's always hard for me to side with a quarterback who's not winning.
Man, that's nonsense. It's not the quarterback's fault whether they're winning or losing. I think that if you want to talk about win-loss as a quarterback stat, I think that we go with how Kirk Cousins doesn't beat good teams. Like, that's something that I wouldn't throw out there as a stat for the
But he's done
quarterback.
that this year, though.
He's done that this year.
Okay, so I still think Dak is better.
All right, at the end of the day.
You switching sides? Jump ship. Jump ship if you want to.
What do you mean jump ship? What are you talking about?
You made a face like you had a question.
I'm just pointing out the obvious.
Anybody in here, the cameras go off. Anybody in here, you included.
No, but the cameras are on right now.
When the cameras go off, I don't want to get fired. When the cameras go off, if you want to see me about this Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins debate, we can take it to the screen.
Final word, Mina Kimes.
Don't let him bully you.
I'm
I'm here. This is a safe space, and you have the right opinion.
Greeny sees what happens every Thursday, so I'm not worried about that.